Hi, I'm Roger Monder, and this is Breaking Ground. This episode will show you what is going on in provincial agriculture today. On this show, we're going to have a close look at Central Dairies. The dairy industry in this province has expanded dramatically in recent years. Because of that, opportunities have arisen because of the many products that can be made from milk. Creams, butters, cheeses, and yogurts are all but a few products that can be made. Where once Newfoundland milk was shipped out of the province, year by year, more and more is being kept here for secondary processing. Central Dairies is capitalizing on that fact. Ripple Trail Farm near Markland is now run by Karen Durfee. Where her father once stood, she now stands. And with that change comes the heavy responsibility of keeping it going by dealing with the everyday problems of machine breakdowns, labor concerns, and delivering her product to the marketplace. But there's no other place she'd rather be. The overall agriculture picture would not be complete without a look at horticulture. In this province, it has grown by leaps and bounds over the past few years. And an emphasis on developing and propagating natural local material has created jobs that otherwise would have been lost to the mainland. And we're back in Ann Budgell's kitchen with Restaurant 21 chef Brian Abbott. There's a good reason why Brian wins all those cooking awards. It's simply because he's one of the best in this province. In this week's cooking segment, he shows us why. Well, we have quite a full show for you. When we come back, we'll dig right in. Central Dairies had its beginning in Happy Valley Goose Bay many years ago. It's now a large modern company which employs either directly or indirectly almost 200 people.
The dairy farms in Newfoundland have experienced phenomenal growth. The province is the home to some of the largest and most efficient dairy farms in the country. Computerized milking systems, unprecedented building of infrastructure, and the modernizing of marketing methods have all contributed to a very healthy industry. Part of that marketing picture is Central Dairies. Originally a Newfoundland and Labrador company, it's now a part of the larger Farmers Dairy Cooperative. Dave Collins, General Manager of Central Dairies, gives us a clear picture of that growth.
In 1982, when the Newfoundland Milk Marketing Board was formed, milk production was actually probably about 12 million litres. And today we're at 55 million. And with an opportunity to increase production within Newfoundland and Labrador to 70 million litres. About 5 years ago, the province negotiated entry into a national milk marketing plan for industrial milk, and at that time we were given an industrial milk quota of up to 35 million litres.
So what does Central Dairies produce with some of the milk being brought in from outlying farms?
We produce or process fluid milk, flavored milks, soft ice cream mixes, or known as soft serve, and ice cream at this facility. We actually supply our soft serve products to all 4 Atlantic provinces.
It is said that for every primary job on the farm, 3 to 4 jobs are created in the service and value-added industries.
In terms of Central Dairies, we're now, in terms of direct employees, somewhere between 125 and 150. But in addition to that, we have independent distributors who deliver our product across the island, who rely exclusively on our company for their livelihood. And if we include them, we're over 200 people that directly derive their livelihood from this company in Newfoundland.
Here is the real face of secondary processing at Central Dairies. Milks, creams, butters are all processed daily at this plant in Mount Pearl. Every day, milk is delivered here from farms all over the island. It's stored in silos which can hold up to 180,000 litres. Christina Stevenson, manufacturing coordinator at Central Dairies, tells us what happens after that.
From the storage silos, the milk goes into the pasteurization unit first. So that will be the entry point into the plant. And from there, the milk it goes to the separator and gets separated and clarified. So there is where you would separate it into the 1% and 2% and so on. And then it gets homogenized and vitaminized in another piece of equipment. and then back to the pasteurizer for pasteurization to make it so that it would last its shelf life and so on. Milk, as it exits the pasteurizer, goes to the finished product tanks, and then from the finished product tanks, it leaves there and goes to whichever piece of filling equipment requires it. There might be different types of milk in the different finished product tanks at any given time, and then they would go to the designated fillers through a series of valves in the plant.
So, depending on the market need, a wide variety of products are processed and packaged. They would include what you would see in a supermarket or corner store, plus unusual-looking packages that are geared for the service industry. With milk being a perishable item, testing is done all the time to ensure a safe product. Likewise, the shipping department runs 24 hours a day, simply because the product is perishable. To a finished milk product on a supermarket shelf, this white commodity creates money and jobs for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador.
It won't be long before you'll see Newfoundland cheese on your supermarket shelf. And now we're off to Ripple Trail Farm near Markland, where owner Karen Durfee will tell us why she plans to make a permanent career out of farming.
After living in the United States for over a decade, Karen Durfee of Markland wanted to come home. Her mom and dad owned a farm in Markland and were thinking about selling. After speaking to her husband, she called her father and asked if he wanted a couple of partners.
And his first words were, how soon can you be here?
So the family returned to Markland. Karen loved the idea of being a part of the farm, but soon realized the way her father was operating the marketing part of the business was not working out.
Well, the way he had it, it was slowly dying off because he used to peddle door to door years ago, and he gave that up in '85. And then he started selling to farmers that came and bought stuff from him, and they would resell it. And then there was a few peddlers that didn't grow anything and came and bought stuff from him and resold it. But it was kind of starting to die back a little bit because the older communities, people just weren't coming to buy the stuff. And he used to sell to some wholesalers out around Bay Roberts that way years ago, but it's been a while since he has. And we thought that we needed to grow, and so we called some of the bigger stores, and it worked out really well. I went out and met with some of them and talked to produce buyers, and it did good.
So their markets grew, and as a result, more land was cleared, equipment bought, and new facilities built.
Buildings-wise, there's two major buildings that we have. We have a processing shed. That one we built the second year I was home. I got home. That's where our vegetable washer is, and we do all the packaging. He used to do packaging in his basement. That's where we started, in the basement the first year, but the next year we had to put up the new building down there. So we put up a new cellar. She's partly underground. There's only the roof showing, and it's fairly big. It's 40 by 100 with a concrete floor. But otherwise, everything else is pretty much the same.
Running the farm can be pretty overwhelming. There was a lot to learn, and luckily, her father stayed around at the start to help.
I'm surprised at how much that well, I'm not surprised, I guess. My father was like a wealth of information. Ask him anything. He had this mind that he remembered everything. Now, I probably would, I might not remember your name the next day, but he could remember everything. So I was surprised at how much there was to learn. People don't realize, you just don't just stick the seed in the ground and just wait for it to grow. There's a lot involved with field preparation and then spraying for bugs, and there's all kinds of stuff when it's all growing. And then when you get to the machinery, it was a bit daunting at first to jump on a tractor, but now it's nothing. Well, I'm very lucky that I have my cousin Jerry there. He's kind of jack of all trades. He can usually put stuff back together pretty easy, and I'm not too bad at some stuff. If I have trouble with my tractors, I have a friend that lives about a mile up the road. He's a heavy equipment mechanic, so he kind of keeps all the tractors going.
So, after returning home many years ago, how does she feel about it all?
You gotta love it to stay at it. It can break your heart at times. But yeah, my favorite time is when it starts to come through the ground. When you're starting to see it grow, all the work, all the fertilizer, and then finally see everything start to grow. That's the best time. I know most people like to see the harvest and see everything paid for, but I really like to see it when it's growing.
Well, the farming tradition has been passed on to very capable hands. When we come back, we're going to take a brief look at horticulture and see how it fits into the agricultural picture. Where 10 years ago, garden centres were few and far between, they now can be found almost anywhere in the province.
Gardening is the fastest growing leisure activity in Canada right now, and that has changed in the last 10 years.
In many ways, that statement by Kim Thistle sums up the state of horticulture in the province. And having a successful garden centre on the west coast of the island has proved the point.
Well, it's amazing that a Newfoundlander will buy a rock. Kind of blows me away sometimes, but yeah, people are more into rock work. They've discovered that building flower beds and terracing out of rock is much more environmentally friendly than using pressure-treated lumber, and as well, it doesn't rot. It's more aesthetically pleasing. People years ago would buy a few annuals to put in their flower garden. Now I find that things are changing. People are buying containers, much larger terracotta containers, much more expensive. They're buying garden art, furniture.
And the piece of teak furniture may very well be the key to understanding where horticulture now stands in this province.
The furniture that we have here is made from the roots of teak trees. It comes from Indonesia. It's beautiful. It's very nicely done. When you consider that a tree could be that large, to have a root that size, it just is mind-boggling. But yeah, they're pieces of art, more so than pieces of furniture. Some people buy them for their houses, some people buy them for their gardens. People are looking at their gardens more as an extra room in their house.
Another good example of how horticulture is changing can be found in the attitude of Chris Swire of CD's Trees in Logie Bay. Most nurseries in the province import their plant material from the mainland. Chris and his staff strongly believe that they can cut into that market and promote their own native plant material.
Right now, as I say, most nurseries are importing their plant material. So if we can pick up a part of that business, then we'd like to. And as well as part of the promotion of the native plant material, you know, maybe we'll be able to move some of that stuff towards them as well. There's lots of market. You know, there's different groups within the province that have restoration projects and that sort of thing. And if you go looking for some of that native material to try and put back what you take out, right now is not that readily available. So we're trying to fill that market.
And how close are they to attaining their goals of provincial distribution and the promotion of natural plant material?
We want to be able to provide a plant that's been grown here. It's acclimatized to our climate. It grows with our seasons, and we want to be able to distribute that across the province. And one way to do it is through the local nursery industry. We've got a couple established, and we're hoping that next spring now we'll pick up a couple more. So, you know, in the last 4 or 5 years or so, we've been pretty much catching up with our goal. Perhaps in the last 3 years or so, started growing a number of different evergreen plants, such as spruce, pine, we've got balsam fir, we've got larch. We also grow deciduous varieties such as meadowsweet, which is a native spirea. There's a couple of dogwoods that we've been doing. We do birch and maple. So, you know, we've got quite a few now under our belt that we can do on a regular basis. So it's just a matter now of time waiting for those to get sizable where they're marketable. You know, we're still doing the ornamental plants as well. So in addition to the 6,000 seedlings that we produce each year, we've got perhaps another 6,000 plants from last year that are, you know, working their way through the system.
So the future for horticulture in this province seems positively strong. We'll give the last word to Kim Thistle.
I do see it as expanding, there's no doubt about that. It has been growing rapidly for the last few years, and I think that it will continue to do so. And it will grow in all areas.
I must say, it's nice to see more Newfoundland and Labrador rock and plant material being used in gardens all across the province. After this short commercial break, we'll be right back with Ann Budgell and Chef Brian Abbott. Now we're off to Ann Budgell's kitchen with guest chef Brian Abbott.
Hi everybody, I'm Ann Budgell. Welcome to my kitchen, and I'm here with Brian Abbott, who's a chef, a cooking instructor, the owner of Restaurant 21 here in St. John's. And I think you like cooking wild game, don't you?
Local wild game is one of my favorite things to do, yeah.
So today we're going to have
Today we have
delicious little pies.
rabbit pies, wild Newfoundland rabbit pie.
And how are you going to present this? What else goes with it?
We're doing, for the demo, we're actually doing a spice pumpkin chutney.
I've never made a pumpkin chutney.
No.
And it's, well, actually, certain times of the year it's pretty hard to get pumpkins.
Yep, the key to that is hit Lester's Farm, get a wheelbarrow.
In the fall.
In the fall, and fill it up. And you might have seen me going through going through the field with a wheelbarrow full of pumpkins.
Do you have a freezer full of pumpkin right now?
I do, yeah, yeah, I definitely do. We just basically cut the skin off it, cut it to the portions that we need to make this chutney, and then we vacuum seal them.
And do you use pumpkin for lots of recipes, actually?
We can roast it. We can do like a pumpkin mash.
Soup.
Oh, soup. Yeah. It's a great cream soup.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful ingredient. Yeah.
I think, you know, we'd do more with it if we knew more what to do. So you're going to show us this delicious chutney. So let's have a look. What's the method here today?
This is a very simple recipe. It's basically, you can almost take everything, put it in the pot, and just let it simmer for about a half an hour, and then it's done.
Okay, we're starting with a small saucepan with a little bit of melted butter in it.
Melted butter, yeah. And I use whole butter. I like using whole butter for the most part.
It just tastes better.
It tastes better, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you want to remember that it's low heat with whole butter. If you're going to clarify the butter and take all the impurities out, well, then you can use it for a higher heat. Or you can use a little bit of canola oil to increase the smoking point.
I love the way he cuts an onion.
So we only need about half an onion, which will be plenty.
And it's a fine dice, is it?
It is a fine dice, yeah. Now, I'll lay
So everything's just going in the pot. That's easy.
everything goes in the pot. So we have the melted butter. We're going to put in our diced onion here. Oops.
A little onion goes on the floor every time.
We'll get that next
What
time. Then I have some grated ginger.
Beautiful.
So grated ginger goes in. And that's about a tablespoon of grated ginger. In this we have some chili flakes, dried red chili flakes, some dried mustard powder, and some dried cloves.
That's what I smell. It's the cloves.
Yeah, very nice. So we got about a quarter of a teaspoon of each. Then some, you can't have a chutney without some vinegar.
Yep.
So we got some vinegar. And then we got to add a bit of sugar. It's a fair bit of sugar in this, so we won't use all that. Then we put in
It's diced pumpkin.
the diced pumpkin. Oh.
It's a paler color than I would have thought.
Well, it's frozen too, so you lose a little bit of color. All right, there we got a piece on the bottom. And I also have some apricot jam to go in this, which will help bring back the color a little bit and would actually help thicken it with where there's picton in this.
Yeah.
So any apricot preserve.
So that's easy. So we'll get this on the stove, we'll stir this up, and you cook it until it's nice and thick?
You cook it for about a half an hour or so. A lot of the water will evaporate, and a nice medium to low heat. As it simmers, it will reduce and become thicker. The longer you cook it, the thicker it becomes. But for the most part, about 20 minutes to a half hour, and the pumpkin should actually still hold its shape a little bit.
Okay. All right, well, you've got one on the go.
We have one on the go, yeah.
So I'm just going to put this on the stove, and I'll get the other one.
Please do. Perfect.
The one that's done, here it is.
Yep. Now we're going to finish that with a little bit of cilantro, because chutney goes really good with cilantro.
I love cilantro and everything, actually.
Cilantro is really nice, yeah.
I'm always adding it, and you know, when you go and you buy a whole bunch at the supermarket, then you have to think of things to do with it. So I've got cookbooks, actually, that is cilantro cookbooks.
Oh, really, yeah?
But some people don't like it.
No, it's a hit and miss with some people. It's a love-hate thing.
Yeah, I know.
And I got some green onions too to go in this.
I say, if you don't love cilantro, you're not coming to my house for dinner.
No, stay out by the door. The thing with cilantro too, if you purchase a fair bit of it, you can puree it and make like a pesto or a paste out of it.
Can you freeze it?
And put it in ice cube trays
Right.
and freeze it.
And then pop it in the soup later.
Pop it in the soup later. You can actually buy that in the supermarket. Already
Now,
made for you.
What are you going to do now?
Now,
What's the presentation?
the plating for this is very simple. We have
One last stir.
one last stir.
There's still a little bit of steam coming off that.
Oh yeah, it's perfect. As you can see, the onions are nice, and it hasn't cooked away. So we can put all this on. You can never have enough chutney. Yes, put it all on. There you go.
Pretty.
And then we're going to take our rabbit pie.
Did you use, you must have diced up some rabbit. I mean, you made
I actually
stewing rabbit.
Yeah, I actually braised the whole rabbit in with some chicken stock and some birch syrup in it, and with lots of Mirepoix onions, carrots, and celery.
And birch syrup From Newfoundland, right?
From central Newfoundland, yeah, it's out in the Grand Falls area. Very nice, lots of taste, it's beautiful.
Oh, I love the smell of that.
And then we got to serve some extra gravy. So from the braising liquid, I cooked it down, I thickened it up just like you would make a gravy. And we'll just take some of this.
Oh, how pretty.
You can never have too much gravy.
You really can't.
No, no.
You really can't. I think that should be a motto, you know, bumper sticker.
Bumper sticker. Never too much gravy. And there you go. We can finish it off with some chives on top.
Get some antennas going there.
So you got antennas. Oh, we only go with 2 antennas.
So gorgeous.
Is that a nice looking dish?
Everybody is going to want to eat that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The birch syrup with the rabbit is absolutely gorgeous. It adds a different texture to it. And birch, rabbits love birch, so there we go.
It's a natural pairing.
It's a natural pairing.
Brian, beautiful job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Brian doesn't take a backseat to anyone when it comes to getting the best out of fresh local produce. On next week's show, we'll visit Krista Williams of Bay Bulls. To say she's up for a challenge would be an understatement. She not only decided to go organic, but she also planned to grow her vegetables on a bog. Despite the problems she's encountered, she's done very well. But it doesn't stop there. She has more plans to expand her farm and market her produce. Rideout's family farm in Cormac has bought into an industrial approach to farming. Their 2,000-acre farm has 1,000 acres cleared and developed. Big tractors, big trucks, streamlined harvesting, lots of cold storage, and a substantial investment into a modern dairy operation paints a picture of a family who are serious about staying at farming for the long haul. Organic farmer Neil Tilley passed away in January 2008. His dedication to organic farming in this province was undeniable. He strongly believed in what he was doing, and because of that, he left a legacy that will live on for years to come. We're back in Ann Budgell's kitchen with Chef Kitty Drake. In this show, Kitty has concentrated on making desserts. She always surprises us with her original approach and commitment to using fresh local ingredients where possible. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next week.